Ugh.
Say that shit.
Woof.
Wait, what? Cheers.
I'm fucking mature.
Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of Amateur Intellectuals. My name is Kendall and I'm here with my co-host Caitlin.
Hello.
Hello. So today we've got an interesting topic. If you're new to the show, we discuss something new. One of us does a little bit of research and a deep dive on a topic, and we do some learning and some growing and some laughing and some boozing. So welcome back. Welcome for the first time. I'm really excited for today's episode because I didn't know jack shit about this, and I feel like I only have like a little tinge of education now, but I think that it's an interesting subject, and I think that we'll both have a good time with it. So, are you ready, Freddie?
I'm ready.
Okay. So, Caitlin, question. Have you ever, and this is a long question, have you ever noticed or experienced a solar storm? The last major big one was in 1859, so like not that one, but
Are you trying to tell me that I'm old, you dick? Did you ever experience that one when you were like 17?
1859 when they were inventing cars and shit. Actually, that's like way before that. But that one was like insane. I watched like a graph of what happened and that was just like nuts. But there have been many more since then, just not as like
Really?
humongous. Yeah. Have you ever like known that one was happening?
Not at all. And I honestly have no idea what a solar storm is. So you're going to be teaching me from zero, like from scratch today. I'm sure we've existed while they've happened, but remember too, like we're always inside. We're inside for school. We're inside for, work. So most of us. So I don't know that I've ever like paid attention.
Yeah. That's kind of how I am. Like I would have to go back. Like they happen pretty frequently. As in fact, we're gonna get into it in a little bit. But this week, not a couple weeks ago. Last Wednesday, there was like 15 of them. Yeah. So like
where? Like up at the in the sun, but you can see it everywhere. I have no idea. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
I have no picture whatsoever. This is just a blank slate.
What's going on? Yeah. That's exactly how and I just like started reading and like the words were like 15 letters and I was like, we're going to watch some videos and then come back to this reading. So we're going to get familiar with the lingo, but don't worry, I've done all the work. All you have to do is kick back, relax, and grab a cocktail if you want.
Yeah.
Speaking of cocktail, I'm having the hair of the dog this morning. For the life of me, Caitlin, I was trying to remember. We did an episode where we drank Long Island iced teas, and they did us well. Do you remember which one that was?
Oh, damn. No, not whiskey. Not the whiskey episode.
I know. I couldn't remember either.
What did we do? I don't remember. It was one of in the first season for sure. Like it was one of the early ones.
Yes. Well, and like that's the. I mean, like if you don't remember, it's because you had a Long Island. Like that. That's why.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's right.
It did its job. So today.
Stress. Was it stress? Maybe.
that would make sense. Yeah. Actually, it might be. I'll have to go back and look it up. But today, I was looking up like perfect summer cocktails, sun cocktails, solar cocktails, stuff like that. And I thought back of the Long Island iced tea, and there's a twist on it. And I'm from Texas, honey, so there's something called the Texas iced tea.
Ooh.
And it's basically just the same exact thing as a Long Island. You just add tequila. So.
Oof.
Let's make it even boozier. Let's make this toxic drink even worse.
Yeah, there wasn't enough. I feel like they just needed another little spritz of something that's gonna hurt you.
Just a floater. So you're gonna make some sour mix. You're gonna do that with 1 ounce of lemon juice and a 1/2 ounce of simple syrup, which is just sugar water. And then you're gonna do a 1/2 ounce of vodka, 1/4 ounce of gin, 1/4 ounce of rum, 1/2 ounce of tequila, a 1/2 ounce of whiskey, and a half ounce of triple sec. So the entire bar. Throw the entire bar
Damn.
into the cocktail, and you're guaranteed to have a good time for a minute.
And anybody who's never had a Long Island iced tea, it's so sneaky because there's something about the combination of everything. It does not taste like you're just pouring a bunch of liquor in a cup. Like, it
Right.
doesn't taste like that at all. It tastes like smooth and easy. It's pretty easy.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's why you gotta watch out. Watch out. We're here to help you. Like, have one, don't have three. Or have three, but don't have four. I don't know.
Have three.
You do you, but just with caution. Proceed with caution.
Absolutely. A good warning. I was going to say have three at home, but don't, like, just be sure that you have a ride home at 3.
Yeah,
Don't-
or like have the third one in your bed with the bucket next to you.
Right. And yeah, exactly. What is that? It's not Peptide.
We're here to help.
Not Pepsid. It's Pedialyte. Have some Pedialyte just ready to nurse that
At the
one.
on the bedside, like ready to go.
Absolutely ready. Yeah. Okay. So, solar storms. So I was back on my bullshit a few days ago, and I was going through the news, and like bouncing around from Apple to Twitter to CNN, back to Twitter to Insta, back to Twitter, and I saw this like headline, and I was like, I think that I want to read that, but I don't know anything about it. So here we are to do some motherfucking learning. The headline on the article was this: solar storms are back, threatening life as we know it on Earth.
Huh. Okay.
As if there's not enough shit going on.
Add it to the fucking pile. I don't feel anything anymore.
Right. An existential crisis revolving around the sun. Yeah, I got room. I got room for
Throw it on
that.
the bonfire. Who
That's
cares?
right. Absolutely. And this was from Phys, phys.org. So just a synopsis of the article. Basically, a few days ago, millions of tons of superheated gas blew off the surface of the sun and hurtled like 90 million miles toward Earth. Just a normal day. A quote.
In 2021.
Right. A quote from the author of this article, Brian Sullivan from Bloomberg News, he said the eruption, called a coronal mass ejection, wasn't particularly powerful on the space weather scale, but when it hit the Earth's magnetic field, it triggered the strongest geomagnetic storm seen for years. There wasn't much disruption this time. Few people probably even knew it happened, but it served as a reminder that the sun has awoken from a years-long slumber.
Okay.
So,
what's gonna kill us first?
Yeah. How quickly, how painfully, who do I need to pay? Let's just... Yeah. Yeah. So...
Yeah, okay, so not a lot of people knew it was happening. I mean, I didn't really pay attention that it was happening. And the fact that you got it from like a sort of a scholarly website, it sounds like a physics or something.
Yes,
website,
very
as opposed to
wonky.
CNN.
Right. Yeah.
Shows how much we don't care as a society.
We don't give a flying. Yeah, that's right. That's right. We're usually worried about our lawns and what time dinner is.
Oh my god. Yeah.
Which are like
Put that on a pillow.
Pretty good problems to have, except for when the sun is hurtling fireballs at you.
Oh no.
So I read that and I was like, what the hell is this slumber thing we're talking about? And how far is the sun from the Earth? And what happens whenever these things happen? So,
yeah, and what's a geothermal storm that it caused? Like, what's that mean?
right. And are we talking about magnets? Okay. So we're gonna do like a high overview of all of that, because whenever I got into like the electroplasticity geothermal magnetic babushka, I was like, I don't I'm not following.
Oh, that's a Scrabble
Uh,
word.
um, so, kind of similar to what's happening, we've mentioned it on the podcast, with the cicadas in the
Ugh.
Northeast. Um, there's this thing where the sun kind of goes in and out of activity. So it'll go into a quiet phase, and then it'll go back into a pretty active phase, and then back into a quiet. And we are just now entering, we're climbing up to the active peak, which will be in like July 2025 is their estimate. Um, so what does that mean? What does that entail? Solar storm activity, there's basically four things that happen. And some of these happen because of another thing, and some of them are independent. So a solar flare is a large explosion on the sun's atmosphere. Solar flares are a sudden explosion of energy caused by tangling, crossing, or reorganizing of magnetic field lines near sunspots.
Okay.
Coronal mass ejection, which is what we were talking about earlier, a CME, is a massive burst of solar wind, sometimes associated with a solar flare. A
Okay. It's
geomagnetic
like the sun is going poof and like spitting fireballs at you with a lot of wind behind it.
with a fuck ton of wind behind it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Ugh. Okay.
Ooh, that's a big ass bug. A geomagnetic storm is the interaction of the sun's outburst with the Earth's magnetic field.
Mm-hmm.
A solar
Okay.
particle event. Oh, that's funny. I have it in my notes, but I don't have what it means. So we're not going to know what that means.
Say it with confidence, babe.
We're just going to skip that one.
Yeah. You should all know what it means anyway.
Literally, it's been there for like 50 billion years. So, spoiler alert, you should add it down a long time ago. So, I think I get into this, and if I don't, then I'll circle back. I think I get into like the way that, yeah, I do. I do at the very end, which is strange, but we'll come back to. A solar flare is an explosion, but there's all of these magnetic fields because there's so much happening. There's so much power in the fire on the sun that it creates magnetic fields. So like when one explodes, typically all of that fire stays in that magnetic field and then it circles back down into the sun. So
Oh yeah, yeah.
a
Okay.
solar flare is just like that happening. A coronal mass ejection happens when that magnetic field is broken. So it's so powerful that it goes past, beyond the atmosphere and like past the barrier, and then it breaks, and all of that power that was going up into that loop goes out.
Oh. Okay.
So
Note too that it says coronal, like corona,
oh,
as in
so many Corona jokes
it's
coming.
fine. It's poetry.
Yeah.
It's the poetic ending to our. It's our demise. Anyway.
We cannot get enough.
Nope.
I just speared. I'm so okay. So we're gonna circle back to. I'm 90% sure we're gonna circle back to that. I just wanted to get that in before we started talking about all of this stuff. So
Yeah.
I followed those links, and there was absolutely no way that I was gonna understand what was on those links. The $5 words drove me to debt just trying to pronounce them. So we went to YouTube. We did some National Geographic. This wasn't some like QAnon. I didn't go get some like fucking QAnon research. I got like some good shit here. So listen up. This is going to be so fun. So in 2006, NASA sent up twin state-of-the-art satellites to study solar storms and sunspots. These are the visible signs of a magnetic system that affects the whole solar system. These two satellites fly in tandem, one right behind the other, and it's creating a 3D look at the sun.
Ooh.
How hot is that?
Yeah, it has to be able to endure even really far away. It has to be able to endure that heat. I mean, and radiation too. Although it's a machine, so I don't
Yeah.
know that they have to worry about radiation. But I don't know.
I don't know. That sounds good to me. It sounds right to me.
Well, I mean, even like astronauts, they have to have radiation proof, like suits
That's
because
right.
being up in space, they're way closer to direct radiation,
And they're
like
not
UV light and all that.
protected. Right,
Mm-mm.
exactly. Exactly. We're going to talk about
But I
that.
think machines can run and like I mean think about even Chernobyl and stuff. I mean a machine isn't affected. Like it's just us meat bags that will melt.
Flesh pots.
Yeah. So I'm sure it's not that, but you're right. The heat alone, like it has to be, it has to catch it. You make me think of it's like two eyes, like the two satellites create a 3D picture, like how we have two eyes to create a three-dimensional space.
Yes,
So,
exactly.
but how do you get that close to not have it melt into what do we have on Earth that is like that can withstand that much heat?
Girl,
I don't
I
know.
don't
Like
know.
it's a rhetorical question. I have no idea. Teflon. I don't know.
I
Just
have
kidding.
no clue. We'll have to circle back on that because I like read that and I was like, cool, and then moved on. But now I have all these
It's probably
questions.
far enough away, though. It's probably studying it and has a really good zoom lens. That's my
Right,
guess.
right. Like it's still okay. So there are 94 million miles between us. So there's some space in there. There's got to be a compromise. Even though it's just like any little bit closer you get to the sun. Shit. What's weird to me is like you can go from Flagstaff to Sedona, and it's like a
Hmm.
3,000 elevation drop, 3,000 feet, and it's like 15 degrees hotter. And I'm like,
Yeah,
if the Earth moved 15 feet one way, would it be? I don't think
good
so.
point.
But
Friend, we're 94 million miles away, and I go outside for an afternoon, and my skin is now like completely burned off.
right.
So,
Thank you so much to my
thank you
Irish
so
ancestry.
much.
Yeah,
Where they never saw the sun ever, or solar
literally.
flares, obviously.
Yeah, literally. Okay, so as solar storms throw off electric plasma, those particles hit the magnetic field of the Earth and create the aurora borealis,
Hmm.
borealis
Yeah. Okay.
that we see on the north and south poles. So the way that works is I don't know if you've ever seen that diagram of like the magnetic poles, but basically it's like a shield facing the sun.
Mm. I haven't
And
seen it, but okay, yeah, makes sense.
I'm trying to figure out how it's obviously a circle for the Earth, and then there's like a hood of the car shape in front of the Earth, and then there's these other things coming out from the poles that kind of form like a comet tail, and so
Mm.
it pushes the magnetic energy coming towards us away.
Okay.
But there's a hole, not a hole, but like where the arms come in on the poles, that energy can sneak down there, and that's why we see those northern and
Oh
southern
shit.
lights.
That's cool.
Yeah, yeah, it's actually plasma from the sun hitting the
Huh.
atmosphere at a weird angle. Is
Yeah.
my best
I didn't
understanding.
know that. That's
It
cool.
is pretty cool. Um, so that's like a mild amount of that electroplasma stuff in the sky. When there's a solar flare or coronal mass injection, you're looking at just like an overload. But okay, this is also weird. A couple of years ago there was one, and the part of the sun that did it wasn't facing the Earth, so it can throw the fireballs out other places too. It's not
Yeah,
like a
sure.
360 thing. It's like a very direct thing.
Yeah, okay. I mean, yeah, that makes sense. It's a three-dimensional sphere, so
Right. It can go the other way.
three-dimensional. Yeah, yeah, it can go anywhere, any angle in space. Actually, it's probably kind of a specific, very narrow, like trajectory in order to hit
To
Earth, I
actually
would
even get
think.
us. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when they do hit the Earth, they are basically just electrical storms, and they can affect spacecraft, power grids, GPS location, stuff like that. So, how they work. I did mention this earlier, but I want to read this just to make sure I don't miss something. Lines of magnetic force ripping through. This is how it happens. They rip through the sun's gaseous surface and snap, and they spew out hot gases and charged particles. Now, once it becomes a solar wind, once it breaks and blows its ball, the solar winds get to the Earth somewhere around 12 to 24 hours, depending on how large the force is.
Hmm.
Um, Which reminded me of something I had heard about aircraft crews, and you mentioned this earlier with like astronauts and stuff like that. There's some like commercial aircraft, well, any kind of aircraft crew has a higher risk of radiation
Mm-hmm.
because they're just higher in the sky,
Mm-hmm.
closer to the
I've
sun.
heard that. And
But
actually, every time you take an airplane ride, you get radiation. It's very, very small. It's like as if you were going. It's less than if you were to go get an
an
X-ray done,
X-ray.
but you get it every time you go up in the air
Isn't that
as a
so
passenger.
interesting?
Yeah,
And you
yeah, it
and you and you
is
like keep that with you forever, right? You don't like
forever.
wear it
Once it's
off.
inside you, it's inside you forever.
Oof. That's so
Hmm.
interesting.
I know, it's crazy.
Um so within that 12 to 24 hours, depending on how much time they have to prepare, satellites can be powered off into a safe mode, and astronauts at the International Space Station can be sheltered in a more secure part of the ship when the waves come through.
Oh my god.
So I was wondering, I was like, I knew that about spacecraft crews. I was like, I wonder if like a big one, like the 1859 one hit, you know? I wonder if they would
Hmm.
like ground all flights. Because
Oh my god.
I'll send you a gif of like the graph because it just looks like the earth is like in a tide pool and then this wave comes and just like blasts it with what I guess is radiation.
So can they see them coming in advance, like or like a seismometer? Jesus Christ, brain. You know what I'm saying? A size the
Seismologist.
seismic. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
the earthquake people. Can they
No.
tell? They can't tell that it's coming, so they couldn't. I mean, they wouldn't have time to ground flights or whatever. I mean, you have
Well, you have 12 to
well,
24
yeah, I guess you have
hours.
12 hours or less.
Right. Well, it's 24 to 12. I think the fastest one that came was around 12. And the slowest
So they'd
one
see it happen and go, "Hey,
shut everything down.
mission control around the world, ground your planes." Hypothetically, they'd
Right.
have that short amount of time to ground everybody
Right.
before they're like, "Or else get cancer." Like,
Right. Today.
wow,
Yeah.
that's nuts. That's so sci-fi, but not
Yeah.
really.
Well, in part of that video in that Geo is like they knew about them and they were watching them from Earth and they couldn't tell how fast they were moving because it was coming right at them. So when they sent out another satellite to go look at it from an angle so they could measure the speed at which.
Oh
And
my
so it's
god.
just like I think it's in my notes later. Yeah, I'm gonna trust that it is, but if not, we'll come back to it because it's not like there's not like any signs on Earth that it's about to happen, but you can watch the spots and they can kind of guess when one's gonna come
Because I'm sure it's like bubbling up. I mean, it's gathering pressure before it actually shoots
before it
out,
blows.
right? So
Yeah,
there's got to be something that you can see with the right kind of technology, telescopes and things. That's nuts to me. That's nuts.
yeah, it's pretty.
Hmm.
Oh damn! Look, if I would have just skimmed my notes right there, what we're talking about is the next paragraph because we just do that all the time. It's so weird. Um, So scientists figured out by looking at the storms from both the front and the side how fast they move and about where they come from. So they come from solar spots, which are those strange dark spots on the sun. Every now and then when you see a photograph, you'll just see these like they look like storms almost, like black hole storms.
Yeah,
Um,
I've seen photos of those. Yeah.
those will appear, combine, and disappear because they are related to the powerful magnetic forces that are coming from the fusion happening in the core of the sun.
Hmm.
So a cool way to visualize this is it's these boiling hot gases on the surface of the sun, and if you look at like I don't know if that's like X-ray or whatever whatever fucking kind of ray that is. If you look at it, it looks just like a boiling pot. So next time you're making some pasta, as the water starts to roll, that rolling boil, that
Mm.
most hot water is rising to the surface, releasing its heat, and falling back down and repeats. That's the roll. The magnetic fields on the sun are something similar to that. And when you put the spaghetti in, those do a really good job of showing how the magnetic fields are on the sun. So
Oh.
they're following those as those noodles are following the power of the water and the heat. They come up and then they fall back down, and that bending arc shape, that's a solar flare. So like if that noodle were to come up out of the water and extend out of the surface, that would be a solar flare. And then if that noodle were to break because of that power and then shoot off an ejection, that would be a CME.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah. That was on like some video I watched, and I was like, that's very Bill Nye, and I really appreciate it because now I think I understand it. Okay, so, oops, wrong button. The sun, like many of us, is a fickle bitch, but she's mostly consistent. She's she is largely just smoking hot, and she knows it, but she also likes to ebb and out, in and out of a good mood.
I love it.
Her cycles are long, and they are called solar. But this is not true. I learned this after I wrote this. Solar maximum, lots of solar activity, and solar minimum, no activity. Like smoking indica, just in the couch. The sun is on a chill pill. So, according to NASA, so this is important, the sun just entered solar cycle 25, aka the beast is awake, and I lost my line. Da-da-da-da-da. Oh, and she's about to let go of some shit until about 2025. So, this cycle started in December. Okay, so yeah, I fucked that up too. Solar, it's kind of like a solstice. It's like you're leading up to the day, and then the day is the thing, and then you're moving away from the day. It's not like a phase, like a month. It's like a peak crest kind of thing. So,
it sounds like she's mad at us.
Oh, she was asleep. She was like, I'm gonna show y'all bitches how to quarantine. And she did that for about 10 years. And now she's like, hell hath no fury.
Okay. I'm sorry, Mama. I'm sorry. Please don't hurt us.
Please leave us the fuck alone. So, this cycle started December. So, December of 2019, solar minimum happened. And now we're climbing up to solar maximum, which I said earlier, July of 2025. But as we're climbing, we're going to see more and more activity. So, as I mentioned earlier, on May 23rd, 12 C-class flares and 3 M-class flares happened in a day. So to calm some nerves here, X is the biggest. We're not talking about any X's. If we were talking about an X flare, we would be talking about planet-wide radio blackouts and sustained...
Oh my God. We would all be going underground.
Yeah.
Book of Eli. Everybody wear your glasses so your eyes don't burn out of your head.
There's only 400 of us left. Exactly.
Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ.
We're not talking about that.
Okay, but that's a thing. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, and sustained radiological storms is the other half of that. I don't know what that means. I think that means radiation's falling from the sky.
It sounds like sustained radiological storm sounds like just constant radioactive storms. Just go, go, go. Like they're sustained. Like it's not stopping. The rain's not letting up. We're all going to get, X-ray. Like, we're going to get radiation
We're going to be growing limbs.
Oh my God. Okay.
So M is in the middle. And you may see some effects like some radio blackouts and some buffoonery at the Earth's poles, which means they kind of like shift every now and then. If the magnetic force is big enough from the sun, they'll kind of move around. And then Class C, which there were 12 of these, so this is the most common. Just a minor little boil on the sun, like a zit, and it's just there and it's gone.
Is that what we had this last week?
Well, we had 12 C's and 3 M's.
Okay.
But I don't think any of them impacted the Earth.
Okay.
So I think that So a solar flare, if they're that small,
I see.
Typically aren't breaking that. They're not shooting out energy. Is my understanding. Somebody tell me if I'm fucking wrong. But I think as long as it stays in the loop, you're generally safe. The second the loop is broken, it's a toss-up. Depending on how powerful it is. Like, if it's a C-class flare and it breaks it and it hits the Earth, what they're saying is really not that much is going to happen. And nobody would probably know. Well, I mean, the people that are watching would know, but, like, you wouldn't, like, notice it day to day.
Right. As just a person, like, living your life, you wouldn't notice it.
Right.
So this is probably a coincidence. But this past week, and I want to say it was about 3 days ago, but I don't know for sure. And it's probably nothing. It's probably a coincidence. My phone was acting super wonky.
Mm-hmm.
It probably had nothing to do with it. But, like, ooh, what if, just play along with me for a moment, what if, like, the solar flare had something to do with it? It was just acting so weird out of nowhere. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, you're so reliable all the time. Why are you not working?
It could be.
And, I mean, I don't know. Probably unlikely, just because, like, of where I'm located and whatever. Because I remember saying out loud to Greg, we were driving and we were on our way into DC, and my reception was all like, I had Spotify on and it just would drop, and and it wasn't like my phone was doing it. It was just the connectivity would drop. So I was like, what the hell? Like, and Greg's like, well, we might lose reception as we're driving in. I'm like, we are on the bridge to Washington, DC. This is not the backwoods. Like, people are working and commuting here. Like, there should be a fucking tower here.
Right.
But I don't know. Again, probably a coincidence.
No.
But wouldn't that be interesting, just hypothetically, if that was what it did and I didn't even realize it? And I was like, what the fuck is wrong with Spotify?
Right.
And meanwhile, life is like, the sun is coming to kill us. And like, where the fuck is my Spotify?
She's just really pissed off in the sky, and you can't listen to music right now. That's it. Mommy's turning it off.
That's how my ghost would come back, would be like, where the fuck is my Spotify? After I died from, like, solar flare being pointed at my head. I'd just be like, I never got that solved.
I want to listen to Justin Bieber.
No. That'd be if I went to hell, not if I was a ghost.
That's not a lie. I could only do so much. Well, that's kind of okay. So, like, I watched this. I was, like, kind of in, like, the YouTube hole, and this guy that's obviously just, like, watching it from his house. Like, he's not, like, a pro or anything. There's, like, cool websites so you can watch what the sun's doing, and he was doing that, and he, like, started up a YouTube live, and he was like, I just wanted to let everybody know that there was 12 C classes and 3 M's right now. So if you do notice anything, it could happen. It could be happening. You could be getting some interference today. So maybe that's exactly what it was. And wouldn't that be interesting? I feel like it doesn't matter what I feel like. I feel like I read that they didn't hit the Earth, but they totally could have. I mean, like, there was fucking 12 of them, so,
It gives me chills. Stop giving me chills. The last couple episodes, you're hurting my arm.
We are walking a tight rope here. But we're doing it so well. Good for us.
I have a stress ulcer from this episode. It's making me so nervous. The sun's gonna just shoot fireballs at us until we die.
Like, it's fucking Mario. Like, you know how, like, I think it's Mario where the sun does that? I'm like,
yeah.
They got that from, like...
It does. It's super angry and it floats down at you with its angry face. That's truly based on a true story.
Yeah, nonfiction. So, that's buffoonery. Okay, so now we're going to go back, speaking of chills, to undo some nerves again. Because, we've been here a long time. The Earth has been here a long time, and we seem to have made it this far. So let's just pretend for a second that it is actually the worst case scenario and what's going to happen.
Okay.
And you know what's really funny about this is that, like, when I was looking up these videos, it feels like so very Marjorie Taylor Greene to me. Like, I'm going to take this angle and be like, it's totally going to be fine. Like, most of these things are not even noticeable all the time, but let's say it's the fucking Holocaust. And an electrified plasma is raining from the sky. And what's really crazy about that is that on most of these YouTube videos, when I was trying to learn this shit, it was like, here are some factual things, and then, like, here's 30 videos of just, like, apocalypse. This is what happens if the solar flare is huge.
Fuck.
And I'm like, I'm just going to watch the ones that are, like, probably factually based and not just,
Yeah,
you know what
not
I
so
mean?
sensational. Yeah, yeah. They're trying to be
Right.
sensational about what could happen. Well, yeah. Also, the moon could crash into Earth and, like,
Exactly.
it fucks it all up and we all die.
Right. Mars could be coming out of nowhere. Like, who
Yeah,
fucking knows?
anything could happen, right?
Right. So I did watch like the two videos on what is likely and the science of it. And then, oh, I just repeated that. That was another. Okay. So that's fine. There's 50 and it's like end of the world shit. But now we've reached the part of the episode where I have purchased my own ad time just to say, fuck Ted Cruz, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Joe Manchin, and Kristen Sinema. Thank you so much. So,
Thank you for your time. Okay, moving on.
back
I
to
hope the sun burns them alive. Okay, moving on.
literally send them to the sun. Yes. So this is what actually happens. I didn't watch one of the videos, but I did some reading. So this is from EnglishNewsNationTV.com. If a massive solar storm hit the Earth directly, the entire planet would go into darkness. Yeah. So the solar storm is a giant cloud of hot plasma and electromagnetic radiation that the sun ejects when it opens its coronal holes. Within 30 minutes, the flares would reach... well, that says, oh, if it's a huge one, I guess it goes really fast. Within 30 minutes, the flares would reach the Earth's magnetosphere and trigger a geomagnetic storm.
Mhm.
Which, in that quote somewhere, there's like my 2021 anthem, which is like, I'm going to open the coronal hole and let everyone suffer for it.
Oh my god. Okay, wait. So you said it'll go into blackout if that was the
Mhm.
worst case scenario.
Mhm.
Do you mean like a digital blackout? Or do you mean a literal like the sky will go dark?
I think that it's digital. Like,
Okay. All electricity would just like fry.
it's like that. You like remember in like 24 and like action movies where they have like is it an EMP? EPG.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the EMP, electromagnetic pulsar, pulse
Yeah.
something, which just like it's an electromagnetic pulse that fries electronics.
Yeah, it's like a surge protector. It's like a surge, and then
Right.
everything shuts off. It doesn't mean that everything is like cooked and irreplaceable or like you can't turn it back on. But I see it more like a surge. It's like woo, this overabundance of energy just kind of switches everything off, kind of.
Yes. Yes. But I don't know that you'd be able to turn it back on. So there was this one that happened and when they would make like whenever they were doing telegraphs, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they a solar coronal mass ejection happened and people working the boards got shocked, like electrocuted, if they were touching it. And then some of them caught on fire.
Holy shit.
And then this is the really crazy part. Even though the pulse took out the energy source for the telegraphs, the magnetic forces were so strong outside of the Earth that it was generating enough electricity to power it regardless.
Oh my god. That is fucking insane. Could you imagine? Could you imagine if that happened before 1800s and people were touching something metal or whatever? Not necessarily electric. I mean, I guess it has to be electric. So it wouldn't work. But just hypothetically, people would be like,
Fried.
Joe was standing over there and then he just caught on fire. I think like the devil is out to get us or like God is mad at us.
Yeah. Bury the
You
leftovers.
wouldn't even know how to explain it. How would you ever explain that it was this? How would you ever comprehend that it's the sun sending death to you? Like you would never understand. I mean, that's insane to me. That's insane. People are just sitting there touching they're like they're like Morse code thing, and then they get electrocuted
Yeah.
and they fall over dead.
Yeah.
Like who's the next guy that's going to be like, I think it's okay to touch now? Like,
Right.
I think
now
we
it's
can.
safe.
I think we can get back to Morsing.
Yeah. What was that message
Touching that fucking thing.
that was so important?
It's cursed.
Exactly.
Oh my god. Sorry, that blows my mind. That literally like I can't even comprehend all that. That's crazy to me. Sorry. Okay, go
No.
on.
It's pretty freaking weird. So like if you look at how we make energy or electricity, there's a coil and a magnet, and
Hmm.
depending on the way that we're doing it, we're either driving the coil up and down or around the magnet, or that's the way that we generally do it, because like it's easy. You don't have to change direction if you have the magnet in a circle or the coil in a circle. It doesn't have to change direction, so it just loops and makes energy quickly.
Yeah.
Um, One of the things has to be stationary, either the coil or the magnet, or like relatively, it has for them to be passing each other. So
Sure.
basically, the way that we've set up our electric grid with wires that are stationary is that if you could figure out a way, if it's without it being dangerous, if the sun would change if the magnetic fields around the earth were shifting, those wires themselves would be making energy,
Ah,
because the gravity, or not the gravity,
yeah.
the magnetic forces. So if you could get it to spin outside of the earth, then all of the wiring that we have going all over the fucking place would be powered without a power source,
Oh my God.
which like feels very like Elon Musk to me. I'm like, why are we not working on
Yeah.
that?
Yeah. I mean, it's like it's solar energy to the all the way turned up. Turned up.
It's turned the fuck up. Well, it's magnetic. It's magnetic field energy,
Yeah, that's right. Oh my God, that's nuts.
regardless of the sun. The sun is just
This
the
is so
thing that
sci-fi. I
it's
mean, I
so
know it
sci-fi.
isn't, but it sounds so science fiction. I'm sure there are books written like fiction about this. Like, I would totally read something like this, like as a sci-fi book.
They
It's
need to do
crazy.
that. Yeah, I don't know of one. I'm thinking of like Left Behind, which I feel like no, and The Leftovers, which was good on HBO.
Hmm.
Did you see that? The Leftovers?
I didn't. No, I know what it's about, but
Oh,
I didn't see it.
so good. And like it
Mm.
was so good that like I left 20 minutes. I still haven't finished the last 20 minutes because I'm like I'm not ready for it to be over, and that was years ago.
I have not accepted it yet.
Right. It was so good that I literally didn't finish it. It wasn't that good then. Um, okay, so that's basically it. I'm gonna share some little facts about the sun, and then we're gonna be wrapping up. Um,
Okay.
I've just got three, but I think that they're pretty interesting. The last one, especially so. So you could fit not like as spheres, but like if the Earth were mushy and you could just like pack them in there, you could fit 1,000,000 Earths into the sun.
Oh, okay.
If you did it
That's how
like
big the sun is.
right, if you did it, if the Earth had to stay a ball, you could. It's something like 900,000 or 700,000 or something like that.
God.
Um, this is interesting, and I don't know what the fuck it means. The sun is 99.86% of the mass of our own solar system.
Oh,
99.86, so it's like 99.9. It's the whole
okay.
fucking thing.
Yeah, it's the mass. I think, well, okay, that's not the same thing. When you said mass, I thought density, like it's the biggest, most
Heaviest.
dense
Yeah.
thing, like most compact anvil like type
Right.
thing, and then everything else is just like feathers around it. That's kind of how I envision that, I guess.
I
That makes
think
no
that
fucking sense. But you get me, you get me.
yeah. It's a big, heavy bitch right in the middle, and we're all.
She's a big bitch and she is angry.
you.
And you better bow down to
She's
her and be
literally.
nice to her before she points her fireballs at you. That's what I understood
Right.
from this episode.
I'm like, maybe the fucking Mayans were onto something. Maybe we need to behead people and sacrifice shit to the sun. I don't know.
Maybe we need to throw rocks up into the air or whatever. Remember that one episode? There was something I said about something that it was like people would, it was like something with superstition or something. They would throw like gifts and rocks and stuff up in
Up in
the
the
air for
air.
like the sun. And of course it would fall back
Yeah.
down because we're idiots. But like, here, take it. I'm so sorry.
Please stop shooting
We're so
fireballs.
sorry.
Yeah, literally.
Don't be mad at us. We're
Amazing.
sorry.
Okay, and the last one. This is I didn't know this actually, and I feel like, excuse that bald-headed ass man driving that mule behind me. The sun is almost a perfect sphere. There is a 10-kilometer difference between the sun's polar and equatorial diameter. This means that it is the closest thing to a perfect sphere that has been observed in nature.
Why isn't it perfect yet?
That's why she's mad. See,
That's why she's mad. Her curves aren't right.
She's really striving for that curvaceousness, and it ain't happening.
Because, so, like, with the Big Bang Theory, like, everything is getting pulled and exploding, and then the gravity is, like, almost like, think about it like space and time is like, it's Play-Doh, and you're, like, rolling it into a ball, right?
Right.
And the more you roll it into a ball, the more perfect a ball it becomes, right?
Right.
So, it's curious to me that why the sun isn't perfect. Like, is it, and this is, again, rhetorical, but, like, is it that there's like gravity pulling it in different directions that makes it not perfect, or is it not finished rolling in the Big Bang or whatever to the point where it would be a perfect circle or a perfect sphere? I have no idea, because I mean, I didn't realize that if that was the most perfect that we can observe, then that must mean that all the planets that we think are very spherical and perfect are not, right? They have to be
they're not. Yeah.
More asymmetrical than the sun, if the sun is the most. So that's just weird to me. Wow.
Yeah. I should have looked up ours. I know Earth is like bulges at the equator, and then
she's a little thick in the middle.
Right.
It's fine.
Because she's having to deal with us. Yeah.
That's right, she's stress eating.
Right.
Yeah, because she has to deal with
fucking
stupid humans on
ruined everything. Yeah. Exactly. Exactly.
God.
And then one last little tidbit. This isn't a fact, but if you want to get a cool live look at the sun, there's this awesome website. This is the website that this guy was using that was like, there's been solar flares today. It's called helioviewer.org. So go check it out. It's very pretty. And that's about all I have.
Good. And if you catch it at the right time, you might get to see our demise. Like, you can see what the cause of it is if you catch it at the right moment.
Just keep it up 24/7. Right.
Lots of good reasons. That's awesome. Kendall, this was a really good one. You took me from zero knowledge into like just at least into like novice level understanding. I could carry a conversation now, or at least bluff my way through it.
Yeah.
Based on what you told me.
Right. It's a lot of bluffing, but it's such a weird, hard, it's physics, it's big words, it's, you know, so I feel like, you know, even though like we might know 1% about this thing, we know 99% more than anybody else. We're in the top 1%.
Yeah.
Which I've never been able to say that.
I think, yeah, right. It's the only time we'll ever say it, ever. I'd say like astrophysics and molecular biology are two extremes on the spectrum that have the equal like complicated, we have a really hard time like comparing it to stuff that is around us and the rules that we understand. So the fact that you could provide us examples like it's like boiling water and putting spaghetti in it really helps us, because then we can really break down kind of, I get it. I get what that visually means.
Yeah.
Otherwise, there's so much of those big words and things, and it's just hard for us to wrap our head around in some kind of context. So thank you. That
Absolutely.
Was great.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Okay, so that's it. Follow us on Facebook, please. Rate us, review us, please. I was just texting Kendall just before we aired this episode. We got 51 downloads yesterday alone. So it's growing. So please keep it up and tell your friends, especially the ones that you know are like us, because we're a very elite club, you know, and if you're in it, you're in it.
Right.
So be sure to invite your friends. And that's it, hon. So shall we close?
Yes. Sorry, there was a carpenter ant climbing at me. I'm ready.
Okay, here we go. Ready?
Yes.
3, 2, 1.
Bye.
Bye.